Welcome, beautiful soul. Take a slow, deep breath in and let it out gently. Right now, wherever you are, maybe curled up in bed with headphones on, sitting by a window as the world quiets down, or just needing a moment to pause in the middle of a busy day, thank you for choosing to be here. This space is for you. No rush, no agenda, just a gentle invitation to slow everything down, to soften the edges of the mind, and to remember what it feels like to simply exist, fully present, held by something far greater than the noise. In a world that moves so fast, endless notifications, scrolling feeds, tomorrow's to-do list already crowding in, moments like this can feel almost revolutionary. Just stopping, just breathing, just allowing the quiet to wrap around you like a soft blanket. That's what we're going to do together over the next few minutes, or however long your heart needs to stay. No pressure to finish, no goal to achieve. If your mind wanders, that's okay. It always does. We'll gently bring it back, like guiding a drifting leaf back to the center of a still pond. Tonight, or this morning, or whenever you found this video, we're going to journey through some of the most peaceful, soul-soothing visuals I've ever created. A single pink lotus blooming at sunrise, gentle ripples carrying golden light, an ancient stone Buddha resting in moss-covered silence, a solitary monk walking slowly through whispering bamboo, candle flames dancing in a dark meditation room, distant temple bells echoing across misty mountains, and a lone figure sitting beneath the vast, star-filled sky, held in perfect stillness. These aren't just pretty pictures, they're reminders. Reminders that peace isn't something you have to chase. It's already inside you, waiting patiently for you to come home to it. So settle in, let your shoulders drop, let your jaw soften, and allow these scenes, this music, this quiet space to do what it's meant to do. Bring you back to center, back to breath, back to the gentle truth that right now, in this exact moment, you are exactly where you need to be. If this moment of calm resonates with you, if it helps you feel a little more grounded, a little more at peace, please consider hitting that like button and subscribing so you never miss one of these gentle resets. It really helps this little corner of serenity reach more people who need it. Thank you from my heart. Now, let's begin. Chapter 1: Breathing and Presence. Close your eyes if they are not already closed. Let the world outside grow distant. The hum of the day, the weight of its hours, the thousand small concerns that have followed you here like faithful but exhausted companions. Let them soften now, like shapes dissolving in evening fog, like ink dispersing in still water, losing their edges, losing their urgency, becoming something too diffuse and gentle to demand anything further from you tonight. You do not need to carry them any further. You do not need to resolve them, or revisit them, or prepare for them in any way. There will be time for all of that, but not now. Now you have arrived somewhere different, somewhere quieter, and all that is asked of you in this soft and unhurried moment is simply to breathe. Notice it first, that gentle, faithful rhythm that has been with you since the very first moment of your life. Before you knew your name, before you understood the world or your place within it, before language, Before memory, before the long and complicated education of being human had begun, your breath was already there. Moving in, moving out, patient and constant and entirely devoted to you, like water lapping softly and without ceasing at the shore of a still lake. You did not ask it to be there. You did not summon it or design it or earn it. It simply is, a quiet miracle unfolding, again and again, in the dark interior of the body, without effort, without strain, without ever once asking for your gratitude or attention. And yet, here we are, turning our attention toward it, because in the teachings of the Buddha, the breath is considered a sacred gateway, a doorway, always open, always available, into the present moment. Not the moment that was, not the conversations left unfinished, the things you wish had gone differently, the words you said, or wish you had said, or wish you could take back. And not the moment yet to come, not tomorrow's responsibilities waiting patiently in the wings, not next week's uncertainties, not the future's questions that do not yet have answers. None of that lives in the breath. The breath lives only here, only now. And so, when we rest our attention upon it, gently, without force, the way you might rest a hand on the shoulder of someone you love, we are brought home, tenderly, unhurriedly, without drama, to the only place where peace can truly be found. Not in the resolution of our problems, not in the achievement of our goals, but here, in this breath, in this body, in this moment that is already quietly whole. So, breathe in now, slowly, easily. Feel the air as it arrives, cool and soft at the tip of the nose, traveling downward through the throat, filling the lungs the way morning light fills a quiet room, reaching into every corner, touching every surface with a gentle, even illumination. There is something extraordinary in this simple act, if you allow yourself to truly feel it rather than simply think about it. The body knows exactly what to do. It has always known. Each inhale is a gift received, the world offering itself to you in the form of air, of oxygen, of the invisible substance that sustains every thought you have ever had and every feeling you have ever felt. Each exhale, a gift released, a rhythm so simple, so ancient, so perfectly designed for the continuation of life, that it needs nothing from you except your gentle, unhurried awareness. And now, breathe out. Let it go slowly. Let the breath unwind like a thread of silk drifting from an open hand, catching briefly in the air before continuing downward, coming to rest without a sound. As the air leaves your body, imagine it carrying something with it. The tightness across the shoulders, that familiar, faithful tension that settles there during long days and often forgets to leave when the day ends. The clenching behind the eyes, the low, persistent hum of alertness that the body maintains long after alertness is needed, like a watchman who has not yet received the message that the long watch is over. Let all of it travel outward on the exhale, rising and dissipating into the air around you, like smoke rising gently from an extinguished candle, curling upward into a vast and open sky, and then you need not force any of this. This is not an effort. This is a softening. Between every breath, between the inhale and the exhale, and again, between the exhale and the next inhale, there is a small, sacred pause, a space of pure stillness. It lasts only a moment, less than a moment perhaps, a fraction of a second that most of us have never once noticed in all our years of breathing. And yet it is there, a quiet comma in the sentence of your breathing. A breath held not with tension, but with the briefest, most natural suspension. In Buddhist meditation, this space between breaths is sometimes called a doorway, a threshold between one moment and the next, through which, if you look quietly, you may glimpse something of the stillness that underlies all things. Not emptiness in the sense of loss, not a void, but emptiness in the most luminous sense of the word, a clearing, a sky with no clouds, a pool of water so perfectly, utterly still that it holds the reflection of everything above it without distortion, without effort, without needing to add anything of its own. Rest in that space, if you can find it. Don't rush past it in your eagerness to reach the next breath. Allow yourself to simply exist within it, held for just a moment between the breath that was and the breath that is coming. There is an ancient tranquility waiting for you there, patient as stone, quiet as moonlight falling on an empty road. Now breathe in again, and this time a little more slowly than before. You may notice that your breath is already beginning to change, already becoming longer, deeper, more spacious. Not because you have forced it into a different shape, but because the body responds to kindness the way flowers respond to water. It opens, it softens, it expands into the space it is given. When you bring gentle, unhurried awareness to the breath, it naturally begins to settle. The way a disturbed pond returns to stillness when nothing more stirs its surface. The ripples widening, slowing, fading. The water finding its own level, its own calm. This is not something you are doing to the breath. This is something the breath is doing in response to your presence, your attention, your willingness, however tentative, to simply be here with it. This is the wisdom of the body. It knows the way back to calm. It has always known. It only needed your permission. In the great tradition of Buddhist mindfulness, the practice known in the ancient Pali language as anapanasati, meaning mindfulness of breathing, practitioners have sat with this very experience for over 2,500 years. Monks in quiet forest monasteries, the sounds of night birds moving through the trees outside, nuns in lamplit chambers, the flame bending slightly in a barely perceptible draft, wandering teachers on mountain paths, pausing in their journey to attend to the breath, to return to this same doorway that you are standing in right now. Ordinary people, tired from the labors of ordinary days, seeking refuge in the one thing that was always, unfailingly present with them, the breath, that quiet, luminous, endlessly faithful thread connecting each of us to the living moment. It connected all of them, and now, across all that distance, across all those centuries of human seeking and human rest, it connects you too. So breathe in. Feel the air entering the body. Follow it with your awareness, gently, without grasping, the way you might follow a feather drifting downward through still air. Not catching it, not directing it, not needing it to fall in any particular way or at any particular speed. Simply watching, simply being with it, allowing the breath to breathe itself as it has always breathed itself, and allowing your mind to rest upon it as lightly as that feather finally, softly, comes to rest on the surface of a calm, golden pond. Let your breathing continue at its own natural pace. Do not shape it into something more impressive or more correct. Do not breathe the way you think you ought to breathe. Breathe the way you actually breathe, right now, in this body, in this moment. Only witness it with the soft, open gaze of someone watching clouds move slowly across a wide autumn sky, sitting on a hillside with nowhere to be and nothing to do, and all the afternoon ahead. Each inhale, a cloud forming at the horizon. Each exhale, a cloud gently, beautifully dispersing, and between them, that luminous, open blue, that peace that asks for nothing, that sky that does not effort itself into being, but simply is, vast and present, and entirely at ease. Your awareness, too, begins to soften. Perhaps it has already begun. That subtle shift in the quality of attention, from the sharp, directed focus of waking life to something gentler and more diffuse, something that holds more and grips less. This is natural. This is precisely right. In Buddhist wisdom, the goal of meditation is not to sharpen the mind into a blade that cuts cleanly through the dark, but to open it into a sky, vast, receptive, untroubled by whatever passes through it, the way the sky is untroubled by the weather it contains. And so your awareness does not need to be focused tonight with great effort or precision or strain. It only needs to be present, soft, open, curious without being urgent, like a lantern glowing quietly in a window, not blazing with the fierce intention of a searchlight, but offering a gentle, steady, unwavering warmth. Enough light to see by, enough warmth to welcome what arrives. Let your thoughts, if they come, drift by like leaves carried on a slow and winding river. You do not need to follow them downstream. You do not need to pick them up and examine them. You do not need to push them away with the effort of someone fighting a current. You only need to return, again and again, each time without frustration, each time as if for the first time, to the breath. Always the breath. That faithful, ancient, endlessly available rhythm that has carried you through every day of your life, through every season, through every version of yourself you have inhabited, and carries you still, even now, even here. Let the body grow heavier. Let the mind grow quieter. Not empty. The mind does not need to be empty, only quiet. The way a room can be quiet without being vacant. The way a forest can be quiet and still be full of life. The insects, the small movements of creatures in the undergrowth, the slow breathing of trees, the unhurried workings of a living world, all of that present and continuing, but no longer loud, no longer demanding, only there, existing within the quiet, the way music exists within silence, emerging from it and returning to it, and making it somehow richer by its presence. You are breathing. You are here. You are present in the only moment that has ever existed or will ever exist. This one, this breath, this soft and generous now. And in this moment, that is not just enough. It is everything. Let the breath continue its gentle ancient work, in and out, as natural and effortless and reliable as the turning of the tide on a coast that has known 10,000 years of tides. There is nothing you need to do, nowhere you need to go, no version of yourself you need to be tonight, except this one, the one who breathes, the one who rests, the one who, in the quiet wisdom of this particular hour, has chosen to stop and be still and allow peace to arrive on its own terms, unhurried, unforced, as soft and certain and welcome as moonlight finding its way without effort. Rest here now, in the breath. Let it hold you, the way water holds what is placed gently upon it. Let it guide you, slowly, quietly, with immeasurable patience, deeper into the rest that is already, even now, beginning to receive you. Chapter 2, Letting Go. There is an old teaching, spoken softly in meditation halls and forest monasteries, that has traveled across centuries to reach you here, in this quiet moment. It says simply this: you are not your thoughts. Pause with that for a moment. Let it settle the way a stone settles slowly, softly, through clear water, coming to rest at the bottom without a sound. You are not a voice inside your head. You are not the worry that arrives unbidden in the small hours. You are not the memory that surfaces without invitation, or the plan that insists on being rehearsed, or the conversation that replays itself like a song you cannot stop hearing. These are things that move through you. You are the sky, and thoughts are only weather. Begin now to notice them, not with urgency, not with the intention of stopping them or sorting them, or deciding which ones deserve your attention. Simply notice, the way you might sit by a window on a gray afternoon and watch the clouds, some large and slow-moving, dark with the weight of rain, others small and quick, scudding across the pale expanse above, each one different, each one passing, none of them asking your permission to come, and none of them, if you only wait, asking your permission to go. This is the invitation of this moment, to watch, to witness, to allow. A thought arises. Perhaps it is something ordinary, a task left undone, a name, a flicker of tomorrow's concerns. Notice it. Acknowledge its presence with the quiet dignity it deserves. And then, gently without struggle, let it drift. Let it continue its journey across the wide sky of your awareness, moving from one horizon to the other, growing smaller as it travels, until it dissolves, as all clouds dissolve, into the vast and wordless blue. You do not need to chase it. You do not need to fight it. Fighting a thought is like fighting a cloud. It only stirs the sky and makes the turbulence feel more real. Instead, rest in the ancient, spacious wisdom of simply allowing. Allow the thought to be, and allow it to go. In the teachings of the Buddha, this quality of mind is called upekkha, equanimity, a word that carries within it the image of a great, still lake, undisturbed at its depths, even when the surface is touched by wind. The lake does not resist the wind. It does not argue with the ripples. It simply remains in its depths, perfectly, luminously still. And when the wind passes, the surface too grows calm. Not because the lake forced it, but because stillness is its nature. Let another thought arise now, if one comes. Perhaps it is a worry, something you carried with you into this night like a stone in the pocket, a concern about someone you love, a problem without a clear solution, a fear dressed up in the reasonable language of planning. Notice it with compassion. It is only trying, in its way, to protect you. The anxious mind is not an enemy. It is a faithful, if exhausted guardian, one who has been on watch for too long and simply does not know how to rest. You can tell it gently. Not tonight. Tonight, we rest. And then release it. Let it travel onward. Let it pass through the wide open country of your awareness without setting down roots, without demanding a response. Every thought, the Buddha taught, is impermanent. Every thought arises, persists for a moment, and passes away. Not one of them has ever stayed forever. Not one of them ever will. This is not a loss. It is a liberation. The thought you are afraid to let go of tonight will, on its own, eventually dissolve. You are only choosing to allow that dissolution to happen a little more gracefully, a little more willingly, a little more now. Breathe out slowly, and as you do, imagine the breath carrying those thoughts gently outward, like autumn leaves lifted from a still pond by the softest of winds. They do not cling. The pond does not hold them. They simply rise and drift and go. Now bring your attention to the body, the shoulders, the jaw, the hands. These faithful, hardworking parts of you that have been quietly bracing against the world all day, bracing against cold, against effort, against the 1,000 small uncertainties that populate a human life. Notice, without judgment, where tension still lives. Perhaps a tightness across the upper back, a clenching in the belly, a jaw held, almost imperceptibly, a fraction too firm. You do not need to carry that any further tonight. Breathe in, and on the exhale, release it. Not dramatically, not all at once, but the way a fist slowly opens, finger by finger, gradually, willingly, letting what was gripped fall quietly away, the way ripe fruit falls from a branch when the time has come. The body, like the mind, knows how to let go. It only needs your permission. It only needs to hear from somewhere deep and kind within you the words, "You can put it down now. You can rest." And as the body softens, the day itself begins to fade. Think of it the way you might think of the last light of evening, the way golden hour slowly deepens into blue, and blue into the rich, restful dark of night. The day does not cling to its light. It does not argue with the coming of dusk. It simply surrenders, moment by moment, to the natural turning of the world. And in that surrender, there is something profoundly beautiful, something peaceful beyond words. Your day has been what it has been. It held within it what it held, its moments of brightness and shadow, of ease and effort, of connection and solitude. And now it is behind you, passing gently into the soft archive of memory, growing quieter with every breath. You do not need to review it tonight. You do not need to resolve it, or improve it, or understand it. You only need to allow it, the whole tender, complicated weight of it, to slowly, softly fade. There are things, perhaps, that you cannot change tonight, and the honest, compassionate heart knows this. There are circumstances beyond the reach of this quiet hour, conversations that must wait for morning, decisions that belong to another day, wounds that are healing at their own pace, in their own time, beneath your awareness. The wisest thing you can offer all of it, right now, is simply this: I release you until morning. I release what cannot be resolved tonight. This is not giving up. This is not defeat. This is the ancient, clear-eyed wisdom of knowing that the rested mind, the mind that has allowed itself the grace of letting go, will meet tomorrow's challenges with far more clarity, more compassion, and more creativity than the mind that has spent the night turning its worries over and over like stones in a restless hand. Let go then, gently, completely. Let the mind, like that still and depthless lake, return to its own nature, not forced into stillness, but allowed to settle, the way silt settles in water when the current stops. Slowly, gradually, the clouded water growing clear, the surface growing calm, until what remains is simply awareness itself, pure, open, luminous, and quiet. Not thinking about anything in particular, not grasping, not pushing away, simply here, simply present, simply at rest in the soft and spacious quiet of its own being. This is where you are now. In the space beneath the thoughts, in the stillness beneath the movement, in the awareness that was always already here, patient and peaceful, waiting only for you to notice it, like a warm room you had forgotten you belonged to, its doors standing gently, permanently open. Rest in it now. Let awareness hold you as water holds a leaf, effortlessly, without agenda, with nothing required in return. The quiet deepens, the breath continues, the thoughts, if they come, drift onward like clouds across a wide and moonlit sky. And you remain open, still, at peace. Chapter 3: Impermanence. There is a word in the ancient Pali language, the language in which the earliest Buddhist teachings were preserved, passed carefully from teacher to student like a flame carried through the dark. The word is anicca, and it means in its fullest, most luminous sense, impermanence. Everything changes, everything flows. Everything that arises passes, and everything that passes makes room. Sit quietly with that for a moment, not as a philosophical idea to be examined and debated, but as something to be felt, the way you feel the warmth of a fire or the coolness of an open window on a summer night. Let it move through you softly, without resistance. Everything changes, and in that simple truth, if we are willing to receive it, lives one of the most profound sources of peace available to a human heart. Notice it now in the smallest possible way. Notice this moment, this precise, unrepeatable moment, the particular quality of the air around you, the specific weight of your body against the surface beneath you, the exact quality of the quiet in this room, in this night. Take it in, not with grasping, not with the urge to hold it or photograph it or describe it. Simply receive it, the way open hands receive rain. Because already, even as you notice it, it is shifting. Already it is becoming the next moment, and the next. An unbroken, unhurried procession of moments, each one distinct, each one whole, each one dissolving into the one that follows like one note of music dissolving into the next. This is the river of time, and you are resting gently within it. Your thoughts, too, move in this way. Watch them now, not with the close, critical attention of someone searching for errors, but with the wide, relaxed gaze of someone watching fireflies on a warm evening. A thought appears, perhaps fully formed, vivid, insistent, and then, without any effort on your part, it begins to dim, its edges soften, its urgency quietly subsides, and before long it is gone, replaced by another, which will itself, in its own time, fade and dissolve and pass. Not one of your thoughts has ever stayed forever. Think of the worries that once felt catastrophic and now are barely remembered. Think of the pains that once consumed entire days and have since grown quiet, grown distant, grown small. Think of the emotions that arrived like storms, enormous, overwhelming, blotting out the sky, and then, in time, withdrew. All of it passing, all of it flowing, all of it, in the end, impermanent. The Buddha once described the mind as being like the surface of a river. Thoughts, emotions, sensations, these are the ripples, the eddies, the small disturbances that move across the water and then are gone. The river itself remains. The awareness beneath the content of the mind remains, still, continuous, and fundamentally, beautifully unchanged, even as everything upon its surface changes endlessly. You are the river, not the ripples. Feel now the gentle forward movement of time. It asks nothing of you, only that you allow it. You cannot slow it, you cannot reverse it. And on a night like this one, in the deep rest of a quiet hour, you discover that you do not want to. Because the movement of time, received with an open heart, has a quality that is almost musical, a rhythm, a cadence, the steady, unhurried procession of moments, each one arriving new, each one carrying you gently forward, the way a slow current carries a leaf, without effort, without struggle, simply onward. And somewhere within that flowing, there is this truth: difficult moments pass. If you are carrying something heavy tonight, a grief, a fear, an ache that has made itself at home somewhere in your chest, hear this, spoken gently, spoken truly. It will not always be this way. Not because difficulty is an illusion, but because nothing stays. Not the brightness of joy, and not the weight of sorrow, not the clarity of certainty, and not the fog of confusion. Every emotional season, however prolonged it seems in the living of it, is passing even as it is felt, even now, even tonight. The monk Thich Nhat Hanh, one of the most beloved teachers of our age, often spoke of the flower and the compost. The flower, he said, is beautiful, fragrant, luminous, alive, and yet it will wither. It will return to the earth, becoming the very compost from which new flowers grow. The difficult moment, he taught, is the compost of your next flower. Nothing is wasted. Nothing is without purpose. Everything moves. Everything transforms. Everything passes into something else. Rest in the truth of that tonight. And now, in equal measure, turn your gaze toward what is gentle in this moment. The peace of this hour, the warmth of rest, the quiet that has gathered softly around you like a shawl. The fact that you are here, breathing, safe, held by the kind dark of a sleeping world. These things too are impermanent. And it is precisely because they are impermanent that they deserve your full, tender attention. This is one of the most exquisite gifts that the teaching of impermanence offers, the gift of presence. When we truly understand that a moment will not stay, we stop rushing past it. We stop treating it as a corridor to somewhere else. We stop and we receive it, wholly, gratefully, with the full warmth of an open heart. The peaceful moment becomes precious not in spite of its brevity, but because of it. Like a single firefly's light, like the last note of a beautiful piece of music, like the particular gold of evening light in late autumn, which lasts only minutes and yet is somehow enough for a lifetime. Be here for this moment then, fully, without reservation. Now bring your attention back to the breath and notice, truly notice, that even the breath is not the same from one moment to the next. Each inhale arrives slightly differently, a fraction deeper or shallower, a touch warmer or cooler. The lungs expand in ways that are subtly, constantly varying. The exhale is never perfectly identical to the one before it. Your breath, that most faithful of companions, is itself a living demonstration of impermanence, always moving, always changing, always new. There is something profoundly reassuring in this, if you let it in. The very mechanism by which you live, the simple, essential act of breathing, is a continuous act of letting go and beginning again. Every exhale is a release. Every inhale, a renewal. The body has been practicing impermanence, effortlessly and without complaint, every moment of every day of your entire life. You already know how to do this. You have always known. And as the breath changes, so too do the emotions. Perhaps you have noticed over the long course of your life how rarely a feeling remains fixed. Anger, given space and time, softens into something more nuanced. Sadness, allowed to move through rather than being dammed up or suppressed, eventually flows toward a quiet kind of peace. Even joy, bright, effervescent, rising joy, changes as it is felt, deepening sometimes into gratitude or tenderness, or a kind of luminous, wide-open wonder. Emotions are not walls. They are weather. They move. They shift. They belong to no fixed season. And the heart that understands this, the heart that can receive an emotion without immediately trying to make it permanent or make it stop, is a heart at profound liberty. Allow change, then, to feel gentle tonight, natural, the most fundamental characteristic of a living world. The trees outside do not resist the wind that moves through them. They bend and sway and return to stillness, their roots holding steady in the earth while their branches move freely above. You too can be like this, rooted in awareness, rooted in the breath, rooted in this quiet present moment, and yet free to let all that passes through you pass, without clinging, without fear. Nothing needs to stay the same. Not the difficulty, not the uncertainty, not the tiredness of a long day, or the particular shape that your life has taken, or the version of yourself you wore today, which you can gently set aside now like a coat at the end of a long journey. You are allowed to change. You are allowed to soften. You are allowed to arrive here in this night as something slightly different from what you were this morning, and to greet that difference with curiosity rather than alarm. Because change is not loss. Change is the breath of a living world. Change is the river finding its way. Change is the sky moving through all its colors. Rose and amber, indigo and gray, and finally, beautifully, the deep and restful black of a quiet night, in faithful, cyclical, magnificent impermanence. And you are here within it, flowing with it, resting in the current of it, without resistance, without struggle, without the need to fix any moment in place. Let the flow carry you now. Softly, gently, the way a river carries a leaf, not to any particular place and not in any great hurry. Simply onward, simply forward, into the quiet, into the rest, into the peaceful, dark, and ever-changing mystery of this moment, and the next, and the next. Everything is flowing. Everything is changing. And in the flowing, In the changing, in the soft and ceaseless movement of all things, there is peace. Chapter 4: Kindness and Compassion. There is a practice, ancient, luminous, worn smooth by the hands of countless seekers across countless centuries, that the Buddhist tradition calls metta. It is translated most often as loving kindness, but the word carries within it something richer than translation easily captures. Something warmer. Something that feels, when you sit with it quietly, less like a concept and more like a quality of light. Metta is the genuine, unconditional wish for the well-being of all living things, not earned, not rationed, not reserved for the deserving or withheld from the difficult. Simply offered, the way a candle offers its flame, without calculation, without condition, without asking anything in return. And it begins always with you. This may feel, at first, like a strange place to start. We are often more practiced at extending kindness outward, to those we love, to those who are suffering, to strangers whose pain we can see and respond to, than we are at turning that same gentle attention toward ourselves. The inner critic speaks more fluently than the inner friend. We are quicker to notice our failings than to honor our efforts, quicker to demand more of ourselves than to offer ourselves the simple grace of being enough, exactly as we are in this moment. But the Buddha was clear on this. In the Pali teachings, it is said, you can search the entire universe and not find anyone more deserving of your love and compassion than yourself. Not because self-love is superior to the love we offer others, but because it is the wellspring from which all other love flows. A cup that is empty cannot fill another cup. A heart that has never learned to receive kindness will always struggle to give it freely, openly, without depletion. So begin here. Begin with yourself. Bring to mind the image of yourself as you are right now, lying in the quiet dark, breathing slowly, a little tired perhaps, carrying whatever you have been carrying through this long and complicated day. Look at this person with the eyes of a loving elder, someone wise and unhurried and entirely without judgment, someone who has seen a great deal of life and has arrived, through all of it, at a kind of clear, warm understanding of the human condition. See yourself with those eyes and offer silently these words, or words like them, shaped in whatever way feels most true to your own heart. May I be at peace. May I be held in kindness. May I rest deeply tonight. May I be well. Let the words land softly, not as demands, not as commands issued to a reluctant universe. Simply as wishes offered gently, the way you might set a paper lantern on the surface of a still river and watch it float away, carrying its small flame into the dark. You deserve this kindness, not because you have been perfect today, not because you handled everything gracefully or said all the right things or met every expectation, your own or anyone else's. You deserve this kindness simply because you are here, because you are alive and trying, and doing your imperfect, beautiful best in the way that all humans do. Because beneath every complicated layer of thought and habit and history, there is in you something essentially worthy of care. Receive that now. Let it in. Let the kindness you are offering yourself actually arrive, settling over you like warmth, like the particular softness of a blanket drawn up in a cold room. And now, gently let that warmth begin to expand. Bring to mind someone who brings you a feeling of calm. It might be someone you love deeply, a partner, a parent, a child, a friend whose presence has always felt like a safe harbor. Or it might be someone more quietly significant, a teacher who once said something that changed the shape of your thinking, a neighbor whose small, consistent kindness you have always noticed, a stranger even, whose face you remember for the quality of gentleness it carried. Whoever arrives in your awareness, let them. Welcome them into this quiet space. See them, if you can, not with effort, but with the soft focus of imagining. Hold them in the light of your awareness, the way you might hold something precious and fragile in open hands, and offer them the same wish, the same gentle, unconditional gift. May you be at peace. May you be held in kindness. May you rest and be well. Notice what happens in the body as you do this. Something in the chest, perhaps. A subtle opening. A faint, warm expansion behind the sternum. Quiet, but unmistakable, like the first hint of sunrise at the horizon. This is the heart responding to the act of genuine goodwill. This is metta doing what it has always done in the hands of practitioners across thousands of years, softening the one who gives it, even as it reaches toward the one it is given to. This is the quiet miracle of compassion. It is not a one-way transmission. It is a warmth that illuminates its own source. Allow that warmth to grow now, slowly, without forcing it. Only allowing it the way you allow a fire to build. First a small flame, close and personal, and then gradually something larger, something more expansive. Let the circle of your goodwill widen, moving outward from yourself, from the one you love, into the broader world beyond the walls of this quiet room. Picture it, if the image comes easily, as something visible, a soft golden light perhaps, or a gentle warmth, or simply a current of invisible kindness moving outward from your heart, the way ripples move outward across water when a stone has been set down gently at its center, moving through your home, through your street, through the sleeping city or the quiet countryside beyond your window, traveling outward, further, across mountains and oceans and the great curved horizon of the earth, touching, as it goes, every living thing. The people asleep in houses nearby, each one carrying their own weight, their own worries, their own private tenderness and pain. The night workers moving through illuminated streets, the travelers mid-journey, the sick lying awake in the dark, the grieving, the frightened, the joyful, the newborn, the very old, all of them, all of us, sharing this one night, this one earth, this one fragile and extraordinary experience of being alive. May all beings be at peace. May all beings be free from suffering. May all beings be held in kindness. Let the words travel as far as they wish to travel. There is no limit to the reach of a genuinely compassionate heart. The Buddhist teacher Sharon Salzberg once described loving kindness as the practice of being a friend to oneself and to all of life. Not a friend who demands perfection, not a friend who loves conditionally, but a friend in the oldest, truest sense, steadfast, warm, present, and generous. You are practicing being that friend right now. And as the compassion flows outward, notice how the heart itself is changing. something that may have felt armored or guarded or simply tired, is loosening, softening. The way a clenched hand opens, slowly, in warm water. Compassion, real felt compassion, not the idea of it, but the actual lived experience, has this effect. It is simultaneously the most generous thing you can offer the world and the most healing thing you can offer yourself. Let it soften you tonight. Let the practice of wishing others well dissolve gradually the boundary between your own well-being and the well-being of the world around you. Not in a way that overwhelms or burdens, not in the exhausting way of carrying others' suffering as your own, but in the luminous way of recognizing that we are, all of us, in this together. All of us doing our best. All of us worthy of kindness. And now, gently, quietly, notice if there is something else arising. Perhaps it is gratitude, soft and unhurried. Not a grand, declarative gratitude, but something smaller and more intimate. Gratitude for the warmth of this bed, for the breath still moving, for the particular kindness of this hour, this rare, precious hour of rest, for the people you hold dear wherever they are tonight, for the teachers, living and long gone, who preserved these practices and passed them forward through time so that they might arrive here in this moment for you. Let gratitude arise without effort. You need not search for it or manufacture it. Simply leave the door open and it will come, the way warmth finds its way under a door, quietly, naturally, as the most ordinary and most extraordinary thing. Hold it gently, the gratitude, the warmth, the compassion that has traveled outward and settled back around you like the gentlest of atmospheres. You are wrapped in it now. Something in the room feels different, softer perhaps. The quality of the quiet a little fuller, a little kinder. This is what metta does. This is what happens when a heart, even for a few minutes, puts down its armor and practices the ancient, simple, radical act of wishing well. To itself. To those it loves. To all living beings, everywhere, in all directions, without exception. May they be peaceful. May they be free. May they be held as you are held now in the soft and boundless kindness of this quiet night. Rest here in the warmth of it. Let the heart be still. Let it be gentle. Let it be full. Chapter 5, Awareness of the Present. There is nowhere to go. Let that land for a moment as the gift it truly is, not as resignation, not as the closing of a door, but as a profound and liberating permission. There is nowhere to go, nothing to become, nothing to solve or earn or arrive at. The destination you have been moving toward through all the busyness and effort and forward motion of your days is not somewhere ahead of you. It is here. It has always been here. The present moment, this precise, unrepeatable, quietly radiant now, is the only place where life is actually happening. Not in the memory of yesterday, however vivid, not in the anticipation of tomorrow, however carefully constructed. Here, in the weight of the body against the surface that holds you, in the air moving softly through the lungs, in the particular quality of this silence, this darkness, this breath. Begin gently with the body. Bring your awareness to it as though arriving somewhere you have been away from for a long time. Not with judgment, not cataloging discomforts or evaluating how you feel, but simply noticing, the way a returning traveler notices home, with curiosity, with the fresh eyes of someone who has momentarily forgotten the ordinary miracle of a familiar place. Notice the sensations that are present right now. Perhaps the warmth where skin meets fabric, the subtle pressure of the pillow beneath your head, supporting it with a faithfulness so constant you have long since stopped noticing it. The particular weight and temperature of your hands, your arms, your legs. The faint rhythm of a pulse somewhere, in the wrists perhaps, or at the throat, quiet and steady, the body's own private metronome, marking time in the dark. These sensations are not dramatic. They do not ask to be dramatic. They are simply the texture of being alive in a body, right now, in this moment. And they are available to you as anchors, soft, reliable points of contact with the present, like stones placed along a woodland path to show the way home. Follow them. Rest your awareness on them, lightly, the way a bird rests on a branch, without gripping, without forcing, ready to lift away and settle again somewhere new. And now, expand your awareness a little, beyond the edges of the body, into the space around you. Feel the stillness, not the absence of life, because even in the quietest room, even in the deepest hour of the night, life is present, breathing, continuing. But a stillness that holds all of that, the way deep water holds the light that falls upon it. A calm that is not the opposite of movement, but something larger than movement. A vast, untroubled spaciousness within which all things arise and settle and arise again. You are surrounded by it right now. It is in the walls of this room, and in the air between your fingers, and in the darkness that rests, gentle and unhurried, against your closed eyelids. Let yourself feel it, not as something separate from you, but as something you are part of, something you contribute to, simply by being still, simply by being here. Now, soften the ears. Not to block out sound, but to receive it differently. To let it arrive without immediately classifying it, labeling it, deciding whether it belongs or intrudes. Simply let whatever sounds are present, however near or distant, however familiar or unexpected, simply let them be part of the landscape of this moment. Perhaps there is the sound of the house settling in the night, the distant murmur of wind, a car passing far away, its sound arriving and then dissolving back into silence. The small, intimate sounds of your own breathing. Whatever is there, receive it without judgment, without the habit of deciding this sound is acceptable and that one is not, without the story that says this is a relaxing sound or that is a disturbing one. In the practice of present moment awareness, sounds are neither obstacles nor ornaments. They are simply what is here, part of the living texture of this moment, each one arising, persisting briefly, and returning to the silence from which it came. Listen to the silence beneath the sounds, the way you might listen for the stillness beneath music, always there, always vast, the quiet ground from which all sound emerges and to which it always returns. Let your attention rest now, without destination. This is something the thinking mind finds unusual. perhaps even slightly uncomfortable at first. The mind is accustomed to being sent somewhere, given a task, pointed at a problem or a plan or a memory to examine. But in the practice of presence, the invitation is different. The attention is not sent anywhere. It is simply allowed to be here, open and unhurried. The way a lantern illuminates not any one thing in particular, but everything within its soft and equal radius. Rest in that openness now, without agenda, without the need to achieve anything with this moment, except the simple, complete act of being in it. And as you rest, notice, without forcing it, how the body is responding, how, in the simple act of being present and still, something is slowly, quietly releasing. Muscles you did not know were braced are gently easing. The face, perhaps, the small muscles around the eyes, the set of the jaw, the tension held so habitually at the temples that it long ago stopped registering as tension, softening now, one layer at a time, like snow melting on a south-facing slope, slowly, inevitably, without effort. The body knows how to relax. This is something it has always known. What it needed was only this, your unhurried presence, your permission, the simple gift of attention without demand. Feel now the surface beneath you. This is one of the most grounding invitations available in any moment, to genuinely feel the support that is already, quietly, reliably there. The mattress or floor or chair that is holding your entire weight without asking anything in return, without effort, without complaint. Simply there, solid, dependable, the earth itself beneath all the layers of structure and material, steady and ancient and immovable. You are supported, completely, right now. You do not have to hold yourself up in this moment. You do not have to brace or manage or maintain. Everything that is supporting you will continue to do so, whether you think about it or not. Let yourself feel that. Let the body respond to it, releasing a little more weight downward, sinking a little more fully into the surface beneath you. The way a heavy stone placed at the edge of still water slowly finds the bottom and rests there, perfectly still, perfectly held. And now bring your attention to the space between thoughts. If the mind is relatively quiet, you may already be touching it, that calm, clear interval that exists not within a thought, but between one thought and the next. A pause, a breath of pure awareness before the next idea arises. It lasts only a fraction of a second, usually, but it is there. And the more gently you turn your attention toward it, the more available it becomes. The more it seems to expand, the way a room seems larger when the lights are turned on slowly. This is the space the contemplative traditions have spoken of for millennia. The gap, the clearing, the mind's own original stillness, always present, always available, requiring only that you look for it not in any particular thought, but in the quiet spaces where thoughts are not. Rest there, if you can find it, even briefly, even for the length of a single slow breath. There is a simplicity to being present that is unlike anything else the mind encounters. Not the simplicity of emptiness, but the simplicity of fullness, a moment so complete in itself that it requires nothing added to it. A cup already full, a sky already wide, a night already perfectly, sufficiently quiet. You do not need to manufacture peace in this moment. You do not need to construct it, or earn it, or remember how it felt last time and try to recreate it. It is already here. It was here before you arrived, and it will remain after the thought of it fades. Presence itself is peaceful. Awareness itself, bare, open, uncomplicated awareness, carries within it a quality of rest that no amount of thinking can either produce or improve upon. Let the mind be open now, wide, without walls, without the habit of narrowing itself around a worry or a plan or a story. Simply open, the way a window is open to the air, receiving whatever comes, without preference, without resistance, without the need to understand or control the weather. And quiet, not forced into silence, but settling into it, the way the surface of water settles into its own reflection when the wind has passed. The mind's own natural stillness returning to itself, as it always does when given space enough and time enough to simply be. Fully here. Sensation and sound and warmth and breath and the vast, unhurried quiet of a world at rest. Nothing is missing from this moment. Nothing needs to be added. Only this, only here, only the soft, clear, open awareness of right now, resting in itself like a flame resting in still air, burning quietly, needing nothing, perfectly, serenely alive. Rest in it. Remain. Be here. Chapter 6. Calm and Stillness. Come with me for a moment to a lake. Not a lake you have to travel to. Not one that requires effort or preparation or the gathering of anything at all. This lake exists exactly where you are right now, in the quiet interior country of the imagination, and it is available to you in this very breath. Simply close whatever remains open inside you and allow it to appear. Allow it to form, gradually and without force, the way a dream forms in the first soft moments of sleep. Not constructed, not designed, but simply arriving, whole and quiet and already familiar, as though some part of you has always known this place and has only been waiting for permission to return. It is early evening here, or perhaps it is that timeless hour just after dusk when the sky has not yet fully committed to darkness, when a faint luminescence still lingers at the horizon, soft as the memory of light, soft as the last note of a piece of music after the instrument has been set down. The air is still, not the tense anticipatory stillness that precedes a storm, with its charged and restless quality, its sense of something gathering, but the deep, completed stillness of a world that has finished its work for the day and set it gently down. The kind of stillness that feels earned, that feels in some way you cannot quite explain, but can unmistakably feel, like an arrival, like the particular exhale that comes not at the end of a breath, but at the end of a very long day, when the last obligation has been fulfilled and the door has been closed, and the night, finally, belongs entirely to you. You are seated at the edge of this lake. The ground beneath you is solid and cool, and you are comfortable, entirely, undemandingly comfortable, in the way that only comes when the body has truly, finally, let go of its vigilance. The way that only comes when rest is not being approached, but has already, quietly, begun. The last of the day's warmth still lingers faintly in the air around you. like the warmth that remains in a stone long after the sun has moved on. Not the heat of midday, nothing so demanding as that, but a gentle, residual warmth, a memory of warmth, something that asks only to be felt, not held. And before you, the lake stretches outward, wide and dark and patient, to a far shore that is only a suggestion, a soft, dark line at the very edge of the visible world. It does not matter how large this lake is. It does not matter what lies on the other shore, or beyond it, or anywhere beyond the immediate, gentle radius of this moment. What matters is only this, the water, and the quality of what is happening upon it right now in the deepening quiet of this hour. Look at the water. Notice how it moves. At first, small, gentle disturbances on the surface. Perhaps the last ripples from a breeze that has just now stilled, the air having finally decided, after a long day of motion, to simply rest. Perhaps the widening ring from a fish rising briefly and then returning to the depths below. A single unhurried movement, complete in itself, and then gone. Perhaps only the faintest trembling of the surface, so subtle it might be the water responding to some vibration too gentle for any other sense to detect. The breath of the world, the turning of the earth. These small movements on the surface, watch them now. Watch how, in the absence of any new disturbance, they slowly, gracefully, without any effort on their part or yours, lose their urgency. The ripples spread and thin and fade. The rings widen until they can no longer be seen. The faint trembling subsides, and what remains gradually is something that takes the breath quietly away. Stillness. Perfect, mirror bright, absolute stillness. The surface of the lake becoming so calm that it holds the sky within it. The deepening blue above reflected below with perfect fidelity, so that you are seated, for a moment, between two skies, between two infinities, both equally vast, both equally quiet, both equally willing to receive whatever is placed within them, without judgment, without resistance, without the need to change a single thing. The stars, if they are appearing, doubled in the water. The last pale light of evening, present both above and below. The world folding gently into itself, the boundary between what is real and what is reflected, becoming soft, becoming peaceful, becoming almost beside the point. Sit with that for a moment. The doubled sky, the world made gentle and spacious by its own reflection. There is a teaching in this image that no words can quite reach, something about the nature of awareness, about the way a quiet mind, like a still lake, reflects the world back to itself with a clarity and completeness that a busy, turbulent mind never can. You do not need to understand it tonight. Only feel it. Let it move through you the way the evening air moves through the branches of a tree at the water's edge, touching everything gently, disturbing nothing. This is what the mind looks like when it is at rest. Not empty, never empty, for even a still lake has its depths, its slow currents, its quiet and teeming life below the surface, continuing its ancient work undisturbed by what happens above. But still, untroubled at the surface, reflecting rather than refracting, receiving rather than resisting, holding the world in its quiet gaze without needing to change or fix or improve upon what it sees. The still mind is not a diminished mind. It is not a mind that has given up or shut down or retreated from the world. It is a mind that has found, beneath all the motion, its own original nature, and discovered that its original nature is, and always was, something remarkably like this lake, remarkably like a perfect, quiet surface, open to the sky. Let your mind become this lake now. Not through effort, never through effort, which only stirs the water and delays the very settling you are hoping to achieve, but through the same patient absence of interference that allowed the lake's surface to find its own stillness. Simply by introducing nothing new, simply by allowing what is already moving to complete its movement, simply by trusting that stillness is not something you need to create, but something that will naturally emerge when you stop preventing it. When you stop, as we so often do, mistaking agitation for productivity and turbulence for aliveness. Stillness is not surrender. Stillness is arrival. Feel the spaciousness of it. The mind, released from the obligation to be busy, discovers that it is far larger than it seemed when it was full of tasks and plans and the accumulated freight of the day. Like a room that appears small when cluttered, furniture pressing against the walls, surfaces covered, every corner occupied, and reveals its true dimensions only when cleared, when the unnecessary has been gently, patiently removed. The mind at rest opens into something surprising, something almost boundless, a quietness with edges so distant they cannot be located, a peace with a ceiling so high it disappears into something resembling sky. Let yourself inhabit that spaciousness now. Move into the furthest corners of it. Let your awareness expand to fill it, the way warmth fills a room, gradually, evenly, without preference or exclusion. And as the mind opens, feel what is happening in the body. Something that has been subtly, persistently contracted is releasing. The heaviness of genuine, welcome relaxation beginning to move through the limbs like a slow tide coming in. Not the leaden heaviness of exhaustion, which carries within it a kind of defeat, but something richer and more deliberate, more chosen. The body becoming quite literally heavier, more yielding, more willing at last to surrender its weight completely to the surface beneath it, like waterlogged wood that has finally, gratefully, sunk below the surface of the lake, not struggling, not floating tensely at the surface, not half in and half out of the water of rest, but resting on the soft and silent bottom, held there without effort by the most natural law in the world. Let the legs grow heavy, and the hips. Let the back release, not all at once, but gradually, gently, the long column of the spine softening downward into the support beneath it, no longer needing to hold itself upright against the pull of a world that asks so much of us. Vertebra by vertebra, if you like. Beginning at the base, working slowly upward, each small bone releasing a little of the tension it has been holding since morning. Let the shoulders fall, further than you thought they could, further than you remembered they were allowed to, down and back and wide, opening the chest, making more room for the breath, making more room for everything. Let the arms rest without purpose or tension. Let the hands fall open, palm upward, as though ready to receive whatever the night wishes to offer. And let the face, that extraordinary, expressive, endlessly working map of human feeling, so practiced in the language of effort and emotion, let it too grow still. The forehead smoothing, the small vertical lines between the brows releasing. The muscles around the eyes letting go of a tension so habitual it long ago ceased to register as tension at all. The jaw finding its natural resting place, neither clenched nor forced open, but softly, easily settled. The teeth slightly parted, the tongue resting gently on the floor of the mouth. Even the scalp loosening, even the skin of the face softening. Every part of you settling, every part of you finding its way down to stillness, like water always finding its way to level ground, following the natural law of its own gravity, coming to rest exactly where it belongs. This is what happens when nothing is forced. This is the gift that reveals itself on the other side of effort, on the other side of trying, when you stop attempting to make peace happen through the application of will, and instead create only the conditions in which peace can arrive entirely on its own. The conditions are so simple, they almost seem inadequate to the task. Stillness, breath, patience, the willingness to wait without urgency for what is already on its way. Like a wild creature that will not come near while you are moving, while you are reaching forward with outstretched hands and the too eager energy of wanting, but will come, quiet and unhurried and entirely on its own terms, the moment you grow still, the moment you release the needing of it, the moment you trust that what you are waiting for is also in its own way, making its way toward you. The stillness was always possible. The peace was always present. It required only this: your willingness to stop reaching for it and simply wait, open-handed and open-hearted, in the quiet. Notice it now, that calm that no one manufactured, that ease that came not from anything you did, but from something you allowed. This is what the contemplative traditions of Buddhism call samatha, calm abiding, a phrase that contains within it an entire philosophy of rest. Not calm achieved, not calm conquered or constructed or hard won. Calm abided, as in calm dwelled within, as in you made your home in it, as in you stopped passing through stillness on the way to somewhere else, and simply, finally, stayed. The mind that has found its own stillness and rests there, content without restlessness, without the urge to seek or grasp or go. This is a mind at profound liberty, not because it has escaped anything, or resolved anything, or transcended the ordinary conditions of a human life, but because it has discovered that beneath those conditions, beneath the motion and the noise and the necessary complexity of being alive in the world, something has always been quietly, patiently, uninterruptedly at rest. And that something is always available, always accessible, as near as the next slow breath, as close as the willingness to be still. Let the world slow down around you now. It is a beautiful thing to feel this happen, the particular quality of time in a deeply restful moment. The way a minute can expand to hold, it seems, far more than 60 seconds could reasonably contain. The way the night grows spacious and generous and wide. The way sounds become less frequent or simply seem to arrive from further away, as though the world itself is drawing back respectfully, lowering its voice, making room for this stillness, honoring it instinctively as the necessary and sacred thing it is. As though even the world knows that a sleeping, resting, peaceful human being is not a human being in retreat from life, but a human being doing one of the most important things a human being can do. Somewhere, beyond the walls of this room, the ordinary world continues its motion. Somewhere, people are awake and moving through illuminated streets, attending to the endless business of being alive. And that is as it should be. The world does not stop. The river does not stop. But you, for now, have found a quiet eddy at the river's edge, a place where the current slows and circles gently, where the water rests before rejoining the flow. You are here, in the eddy, in the stillness. The river continues without you, for now, and it will be there when you return to it, unchanged, faithful, ready to carry you forward. Right now, there is only the lake, only the stillness, only the doubled sky and the fading light, and the body growing heavier and more surrendered with each passing breath. Let the mind grow clear now, gently clear, not the sharp, effortful clarity of concentration, which is itself a kind of tension, a kind of gripping, but the natural clarity of water in which nothing is being stirred, the clarity of a winter sky for which the clouds have not been forcibly removed, but have simply drifted on their own unhurried schedule beyond the horizon. What remains when they have gone is simply the sky, luminous, vast, open, perfectly, uncomplicatedly itself. Your mind in this moment is perfectly itself. Not the mind that had to be somewhere today, or do something, or perform, or produce, or decide. Not the mind that carries the history of all its worries like stones in a deep pocket. Just the mind as it actually is, beneath all of that, open, clear, quietly alive, and ready to rest. Whatever it was called upon to be today, it can set all of that aside now, gently, without judgment or apology. It is allowed to be simple tonight. It is allowed to be this still, as undemanding of itself as the surface of a lake is undemanding of the sky it reflects, asking nothing, requiring nothing, only receiving, only resting, only being exactly what it is. And somewhere in that clarity, somewhere in that gentle, widening, deepening stillness, you may begin to feel yourself drifting, not falling, not losing anything of value, not moving away from anything you need, but moving as if on the most unhurried of currents towards something deeper. The way the lake, perfectly still at its surface, moves nonetheless in slow and ancient currents far below, currents that have been moving since the lake was formed, that know nothing of urgency, that tend always, inevitably, without hurry and without effort, toward the deepest point, toward the center, toward the stillness within the stillness. Let yourself tend that way now. Toward the center, toward the depth, toward the restful calm that lives not on the surface of experience, but at the very heart of it, steady and warm and fathomlessly quiet, like the bed of the lake beneath all its water. Down there, on that ancient, undisturbed floor, the storms that sometimes trouble the surface are nothing. The wind that raises waves is nothing. The changing of seasons, the falling of rain, the passing of years, all of it happens far above, and none of it reaches here. Here, there is only the permanent, patient, unshakable quiet of the deep. You are drifting toward that place now. Slowly, willingly, with every exhale, a little further down. With every breath released, a little more surrendered. The water around you is warm and dark and kind, and it asks nothing of you except that you allow it to hold you. The surface far above is still as glass, holding the night sky in its calm and faithful arms. The stars doubled, the darkness doubled, the quiet impossibly doubled again. And you are moving gradually, weightlessly, toward the deepest rest of all. The world is slow. The mind is clear. The body is heavy and held and entirely, completely at peace. And the lake is still. So still. So perfectly, profoundly, endlessly still. Rest here now. Drift. Let the calm take you the rest of the way. Chapter 7, Gentle Reflection. You have traveled a long way tonight. Not across any physical distance. You have not moved, perhaps, more than a breath's worth from where you began. And yet, something has shifted. Something has changed in the quality of the air around you, in the weight of the body, in the particular texture of the quiet that surrounds you now, compared to the quiet that was there at the beginning. You are not quite the same person who first closed their eyes tonight. You are a little lighter, perhaps, a little more spacious, a little more willing to simply be here, without agenda, without the armor of effort, without the forward lean of a mind always preparing for what comes next. Rest in that for a moment. Notice it without grasping it. Simply acknowledge with something like tenderness that you are here, that you made it to this quiet place, that the peace you may have hoped for at the beginning of this evening, that peace is present now, not because you chased it down and captured it, but for precisely the opposite reason. Because you stopped chasing. This is one of the most profound and counterintuitive teachings that the Buddhist tradition offers the modern heart, worn thin as it so often is by effort and striving and the relentless forward motion of a world that rarely pauses to ask whether all this motion is truly necessary. Peace, the teaching says, is not a destination. It is not a reward granted to those who have worked hard enough or meditated long enough or finally managed to empty the mind of every troublesome thought. Peace is not something you arrive at. It is something you uncover. It was always here, beneath the noise and the motion and the accumulated weight of the day, the way a clear sky is always present above the clouds, not created by the dispersal of clouds, not dependent on their absence, but simply revealed when they part. You have not built anything tonight. You have not manufactured a feeling or constructed a state. You have only, gently, patiently, breath by breath, allowed the clouds to drift aside, and what has been revealed was here all along. Your own original stillness, your own luminous, untroubled depth. Take a moment, in the soft warmth of this realization, to honor the quiet moments in your life. Not the grand ones, not the dramatic revelations or the mountaintop experiences that arrive rarely and depart too soon, but these ones, the small, unhurried, easily overlooked moments of genuine quiet. The cup of tea held in both hands before the house wakes, the few minutes of stillness before sleep comes, the pause between one breath and the next, in which the whole world seems, briefly, to hold itself in a kind of wondering suspension. These moments are not nothing. They are, in the deep accounting of a human life, some of the most valuable things there are. They are the moments in which the mind remembers what it is, beneath everything it is asked to be. They are the moments in which the heart, released from performance and obligation, simply rests in its own warmth. In which you are not someone's employee, or parent, or child, or neighbor, or the person responsible for this or that, but simply, quietly, entirely yourself. These moments are worth protecting, worth returning to, worth building a life around, the way a home is built around its warmest room. And the mind that has rested in them, truly rested, as yours has tonight, learns something it does not easily forget. It learns that rest is possible, that stillness is not a strange or foreign country requiring years of training to visit, but somewhere close, somewhere always available, requiring only the willingness to stop and turn toward it. The mind, it turns out, is not permanently restless. It only behaves that way when it has forgotten it has a choice. You are remembering tonight. The mind can learn to rest, It is learning right now with every slow breath, with every thought that arises and is met not with struggle, but with the kind, patient acknowledgement of someone who has at last stopped arguing with the weather. The mind learns rest the way the body learns any skill, gradually through gentle and repeated practice, not through force, not through perfection, but through returning again and again to the simple intention of being still, being here, being willing. And beneath all the learning, beneath all the practice, beneath the teachings and the reflections and the long, quiet journey of this evening, there is something so simple it almost resists being said. Something that requires no philosophy and no tradition and no particular wisdom to understand. Something that a child knows instinctively before the world teaches them to complicate it. Breathing is enough. Being here is enough. The simple, unremarkable, infinitely extraordinary fact of your existence in this moment, the breath moving in and out, the heart continuing its patient work, the awareness that is aware of all of this, steady and present and clear. This is enough, more than enough. It is, in its way, everything. Allow yourself fully, without reservation, without the small suspicious voice that wonders whether you have truly earned it. Allow yourself permission to relax completely, not almost completely, not mostly with a small corner of vigilance still held in reserve just in case, but completely, wholly, the way a child sleeps, without footnotes, without conditions, without any part of them held back from the embrace of rest. You have earned it, not through anything you did today, though you did plenty, more than you likely give yourself credit for, but simply by being here, simply by the daily, heroic, largely unacknowledged effort of being a human being in a complicated world, of caring and trying and getting it wrong sometimes and continuing anyway. That effort deserves rest. That heart deserves gentleness. That body, which has carried you through every single day of your life without once asking to be thanked, deserves the full, unguarded luxury of sleep. Accept this moment then, exactly as it is. Not the moment you planned, or hoped for, or imagined this evening might become. This one, with all its particular textures, whatever remains of the day's residue, whatever small imperfections linger at the edges of the quiet. Accept it as you would accept a gift offered with genuine affection, not evaluating whether it is precisely what you wanted, but receiving it fully, gratefully for what it is. This moment is yours. It is, in fact, the only one you have, and it is, in its own unrepeatable way, exactly right. Feel, in that acceptance, how the body responds, how the last remaining places of resistance, those final, loyal outposts of tension that have been holding their position long after the battle was over, finally, gently stand down. Because acceptance does this. It does what force cannot. It opens the last closed doors. It releases what struggle only tightened. It says to every part of you that has been braced against something, it is safe now. You can rest. Whatever was coming, it is not coming tonight. And perhaps you notice, somewhere beneath the reflection and the stillness and the breath, something growing. Something that has no urgency about it, no drama, only a quiet, gradual deepening, like the way warmth builds in a room when the fire has been burning for a long time. The calm that does not announce itself, but simply, incrementally fills the available space, moving into the corners, rising to the ceiling, until the room, until you are suffused with it entirely. calm grows this way, not in leaps, not through epiphany, but gradually, organically, the way all living things grow, so slowly that you cannot see the movement. And yet, when you look back at where you began, the distance is astonishing. You are not where you were at the start of this evening. You have traveled breath by breath into a deeper country, and the path back is always open, always available, always as close as the next slow exhale. Trust that rest is natural. Trust it the way you trust the dawn to come, not anxiously, not with white-knuckled hope, but with the deep, bone-level certainty of something that has never yet failed to happen. The body was made for rest. It was designed for it, shaped for it, longs for it the way the earth longs for rain after a long, dry season. Rest is not a luxury. It is not a weakness. It is not something you will get to one day when everything else is finally taken care of. It is as essential as water, as natural as breathing, as ancient and faithful and necessary as the night itself. And sleep, dear, generous, mysterious sleep, will come when it is ready. You do not need to chase it. You cannot force it any more than you can force the clouds to part by staring at them. Only this is required of you, that you remain here in the quiet, that you keep the welcome light on, that you continue, breath by softening breath, to do exactly what you have been doing all evening. Let go. Be still. Remain open. And trust. Trust the body, which knows the way to sleep as surely as water knows the way to the sea. Trust the breath, which will carry you there if you allow it, not rushing, not pulling, only continuing its ancient and patient rhythm in the dark. Trust the quiet, which is not empty, but full of the accumulated peace of this long, gentle evening, full of the teachings that have moved through you like water through open hands, leaving behind something that cannot quite be named, but can unmistakably be felt. Trust the night. It is on your side. It has always been on your side. Rest now in awareness, in the soft, wide, open awareness that requires nothing of you, not attention, not effort, not the maintenance of any particular state, simply the bare, luminous fact of being conscious, being here, being alive in this body, in this breath, in this moment that is quietly, tenderly dissolving into the next. The lake is still. The sky is wide. The breath moves on its own, faithful and slow, as it has always moved through every night of your life, through every difficulty and every joy, through every ordinary and extraordinary moment of this one brief, unrepeatable, astonishing existence. And you are here, resting within it, held by it. There is nothing more that needs to happen tonight. No more seeking, no more becoming, no more effort of any kind. Only this vast and gentle stillness, spreading in every direction without boundary or edge. Only the breath, only the quiet, only the soft, dark, kind embrace of a night that asks nothing of you except that you close your eyes and let it hold you. You are safe. You are held. You are at peace. And now, very gently, allow awareness itself to soften, the way the last light softens at the edge of the horizon, not disappearing, but simply becoming something quieter, something closer to dark, something that no longer needs a name. Let sleep come, or let rest remain. whichever arrives first, whichever your body and mind have chosen for you in their quiet wisdom. Either way, you are exactly where you are meant to be. Exactly as you are meant to be. Still. Breathing. Home. Closing words. Thank you for spending this time in stillness. These teachings, drawn from the deep well of Buddhist wisdom, offered and received across more than 2,500 years, belong to no single tradition, no single culture, no single moment in history. They belong to the human heart. They were discovered by ordinary people who sat down, grew quiet, and paid careful attention to the truth of their own experience. And in doing so, they found something that has never changed, that cannot be taken away, that waits patiently for each of us beneath the noise and motion of our daily lives. Peace is always available. Stillness is always present. Rest is always closer than it seems. May you carry something of this quiet with you, not only tonight, but into the morning that follows and the days beyond that. May you find in the midst of the ordinary rush of life, small moments to return to the breath, small moments to let the surface of the lake grow still, small moments to remember who you are beneath everything you are asked to be. May you be gentle with yourself. May you be patient with your own mind. May you rest as deeply as you deserve, which is deeply, truly, and without condition. May you be peaceful. May you be well. May all beings everywhere sleep tonight in safety and in warmth.